This is me having the worst time of my life in the water. But how does this happen? Let's start from the beginning. My father and I decided to go for a day of spearing together, but that day the water was super murky. But we still decided to give it a try, cause why not? You never know what will you find. In fact, as we were doing the first dives, I found this nice wrasse, but my position was quite bad and I missed a very easy shot. The day kept going, and after a few dives, I decided to check on my father to see how was he doing, but I couldn't see him. But I didn't worry much about it, because in the sea, being a few meters apart is enough not to see each other, especially when it's as wavy as that day. However, later on, I started getting worried, and I decided to come back to the float to get a better overview and hopefully find him. Time kept going, and at 5 minutes I didn't want to go crazy because, come on, it was just 5 minutes. But when I saw that 10 minutes has passed, I started getting very worried. And those of you who don't dive probably think that I might have been overreacting, but when you can't find your father and all you can see around are big waves smacking against rocks, I can guarantee you that every second feels like an eternity. After 15 minutes, I saw him for a moment quite far, but he literally faded away the next second, which made me think that I had an illusion or something, because I was literally going nuts. Luckily, about a minute afterwards, I saw him again, and I made the sign with my arm. And he came to check on me, so I told him about the whole thing, and we went out of the water, because the last thing I felt like doing at that moment was to keep spearing. From this experience, I learned two very valuable lessons. First of all, I don't care if we're not supposed to move far away from the float or how close we stay to each other. Two divers, two flows. Especially when the sea looks like it did that day. And secondly, this story luckily has a happy ending, but it could have ended much worse. It's never a bad time to let your family members, friends, or whatever significant others how much you appreciate them. And after listening to this story, my story, I actually want to get a little bit more serious to tell you guys about something that is not fun at all, but it's also important to talk about, and that is about this man here. His name was José Luis González, and he was an underwater filmmaker and just an overall legend of scuba diving. He was world champion in scuba filmmaking and a lot of other things. He used to make films of crazy quality that actually made him a legend for all of us people that love to scuba dive, to spearfish or whatever. If you like the sea in any kind, you would know this man, being from my city. But the thing is that he was diving last week and he sadly passed away. Although the reasons were said to be due to a brain failure, if I'm not wrong, which is not per se related to the sea. But the thing is that you gotta understand that the ocean is a hostile place for you. And whereas if you were to get a brain failure at home surrounded by your family, you could have a chance of surviving if you got carried to the hospital quickly and you got an intervention. The thing is that when you're underwater alone and you get something like this happening to you, you're out. There's no solution, and that's what sadly happened to this man. So I want to send from here a lot of strength to his family and friends in these difficult times, and just remind to you guys that you should be very careful on every single move you make underwater, because it could be the last one. And that was it for today. I hope you found the video interesting and helpful, so you guys don't commit the same mistakes that I committed. And remember, always remember, the sea is not our place, and it should be treated with the respect it deserves. So don't fuck around if you don't want to find out. That's all from me today. See you in the next one.